Over the past 2 decades, video games have gone through a huge evolution in both the ways you can play them and the stories they tell. Compared to film and television, this evolution is happening at a very fast rate. Nowadays, video games contain stories and characters that either compete with or surpass the complexities of film and television. This includes the inclusion of LGBTQ stories and characters. On the forefront of this evolution lies two series of games: the Mass Effect series and the Dragon Age series. Both are developed by the Canadian company BioWare. BioWare makes RPGs. For those uninitiated, RPG stands for role-playing game. Both Mass Effect and Dragon Age work in a pretty similar way. You play as a hero you can customize completely. You pick their gender, race, sexuality, whatever. You then start the game having to overcome a big threat and have to build a team of other characters who fight with you. These characters make up most of the game's core cast and are each their own unique character with distinct personalities and sexual identities. The unique aspect of both game series is that you can also choose what your character says and how they respond to any given situation. This features into one of the most popular aspects of the series, the romanceable characters. Certain characters can be approached and courted into a romantic relationship through the use of the dialogue wheel. As of now, both series have 3 games each. While each game does have characters who can be romanced by a character of either gender, there are not many who directly identify as bisexual, making it hard to peg them as a strictly queer character even though they're all well written and engaging. Liara from the Mass Effect series is the only character available to either Shepard for the first 2 games in the series. The game does, however, challenge what is normally considered attractive. Femships can romance either Garrus or Thane, 2 characters who are not overtly sexualized nor are considered to be attractive by today's standard. There are 2 characters in the Dragon Age series, Zevran and Isabella, who are both openly bisexual, and both seem to fall into the stereotype of the slutty bisexual. However, Isabella is given more to her character, being very open and blunt about her sexuality instead of letting it rule her entire character. Zevran is not quite as well written, however, and does not leave quite as big of an impact. The feedback from fans led to both of the series' third parts, Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age Inquisition, to include queer romance options. In Mass Effect 3, Steve Cortez and Samantha Trainer, 2 characters who work on the spaceship you inhabit in between missions, are specifically gay and lesbian characters. Trainer is the comms specialist and can be romanced by a female Shepard. She is a secondary character and has a lot of screen time in the game, and is one of the few who cannot die depending on your player choice. Steve Cortez is the shuttle pilot and is grieving over the loss of his husband. The romance story with him involves Shepard helping him cope and eventually forming a romantic relationship with him, which, depending on how happy you make him, does affect whether he lives or dies at the game's climax. Both characters are supporting characters but are strong and well written. Dragon Age Inquisition is the most current BioWare game and has probably the most diverse cast in the series. It introduces Dorian, who is a gay mage who comes from a land where sexuality is not directly discriminated against, but it cannot be tolerated if he is to conform to his society, so he leaves and can be romanced by a male protagonist. Sarah is an elf who also does not conform to what is expected of an elven character as seen in the series so far, and she can be romanced by a female protagonist. And while Dorian's sexuality comes into the story when he has to confront his father, the fact that Sarah is a lesbian is barely even an important aspect for her character, as she has plenty of personality to offer. The Iron Bull is pansexual, which is a first for a BioWare game, and if the player does not romance him or Dorian, the 2 characters begin a romance together. There is also the introduction of Krem, a secondary character in the Iron Bull's mercenary group. Krem is a transgender male who comes from the same land that Dorian comes from, Deventer. Krem is shown to live happily and freely in the Iron Bull's mercenary band, unless your protagonist is an asshole and leaves the band to all die in a side mission. Why is this important? Why do these characters matter? Apart from representation, of course. They matter because these games have a huge effect on the gaming industry and our entertainment as a whole. Mass Effect and Dragon Age both have book and comic spin-offs, and films I can imagine are not too far away. They're also important because these characters are presented in genres that have not always been super progressive in regard to the queer community. While the film industry is still struggling, it seems, in its representation of the queer community, the gaming community is increasingly open to LGBTQ characters, with multiple big-budget games featuring strong female characters. And they're still going. A new Mass Effect spin-off is coming out next year, and a Dragon Age Inquisition definitely let through for a sequel. So it seems these games are just getting started.